Hi there, welcome to the One Geek. It is I, Saz, and we're here with another look at 3D printing and modelling. As you can see here, I have spotted on the Bambu Lab's maker space a Terminator, and I thought, you know what, let's have a quick look and see if we can actually do some miniatures that are better than the ones that I used to print out back in the day when I had a Wanhao, and that was very, very bad. So to see how far 3D printing has improved since 10, 15 years ago. As you can see, I've pulled it out of the labs, but the problem is, as you might see in the top corner, that is a Bambu Lab A1 Mini, which I now do have, but I didn't at this time. So I wasn't able to actually do it. So start again, Saz. Well, I just thought what I'd do is I would just start it off at the basic thing. The only change I think I made, apart from the top surfaces, is the ironing type. Apparently, I'm not even sure what ironing is, to be fair. I put the tree supports on so that it looks a little bit more like this. Now, the only problem is that I may have set the tree supports to thin, and that may come to bite me in the bum later. So a 4 hour, 45 minute time total to create that, which was actually better than I expected. The one that was shown on the Bambu Lab Mini was 10 hours. So either the A1's faster than the A1 Mini or something like that, but we'll go through that in a bit. Anyway, as you can see, it seems to come out fairly well. But that is not the start of it. Let's get back to that in a few moments. Now, to say this was a pig to get apart is an understatement. Also, I didn't have the materials that I needed to actually get it apart, so I ended up using a pair of scissors, which probably wasn't the wisest thing to do. Perhaps I should have waited, but you know what it's like when you've got a new toy at Christmas. You have to get in there, get it out and get it going. You want to see what it looks like and how great it is. Oh yes, look at all that stuff. Oh ha 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 ha. Yeah, I regret it later. I totally do. Yeah, it's very tough and ends up pretty much breaking the model. But we'll get onto that in a bit when I start doing some critique on camera. So yeah, the arms fell off. It's a lot of stuff fell off this, simply because the supports were pretty much engulfing it, and as you can see, the arms have a very weak point. I will talk about that later, but as you can see from the model, you can see it's kind of very, very shiny, but you can see just a little small amounts of stuff. Yes, the arm broke in more than one place. Now here's a look at it up close and personal. As you can see, I still haven't pulled out a lot of the stuff from the supports in there, so there's a lot of fuzziness around it. But as you can see, it doesn't actually look that bad. As a model itself, you can just about see the lines in it, but as a model itself, it's not doing too bad. It's just that with the setting that I've put in, those little bits and pieces are going to cause me so much pain over the whole of this episode. But as you can see at the top, here's what I was saying. With most FDM printers, your top piece generally tends to be the worst quality because it's finishing it off and it doesn't have enough room to create any high-end angles. But looking around, it doesn't look that bad, does it? But we'll have to find out once we've painted it. Or what we're going to do is have a look and see if we can use different settings to make the model look better. And that's going to come in a few moments. So with the arms glued back on, this is what you've got. As you will notice that I haven't got quite a thing, but several bits have broken off this model. There's like the top lights, the bits and pieces in the bottom of the storm bolter. But overall, not looking too bad. So obviously I started experimenting with the whole thing, and the one thing that I looked at is the build plate only, because of the issues that I had with the supports pretty much ripping the model apart. So I took that off, also put support critical regions only, and took away remove small overhangs. And so we gave it that go and see what happened.
Yeah, well, maybe it needs support on the model as well.
Now, for transparency, I did actually have to end up cleaning the bed with some isopropyl alcohol. I think what had happened is that I'd printed so much on there that the bed was not sticking as well, because I changed some settings and it still wasn't sticking. But finally, as you can see here, I managed to clean the bed with some isopropyl alcohol, as I said, and now things are working normally. So what I've just done is I have taken the settings of the 0.1 settings, which is the high-end version or the high-quality version, and I've taken the speed settings from that and put it into the 0.8. So this is kind of like going to be the intermediate version of the three that I'm going to do, because I'm just going to do the high end at its base settings just to see how the thing is done. I'm not going to go too far further into all the different settings and stuff, so that's about it really. Let's have a look how the model comes out. Yep, the arm broke again, but it certainly does look better, doesn't it? Now it's slowed it down. Now, what we'll find out here is that I actually managed to rescue some of the bits and pieces that I'd ripped out of the other one. So it's a little bit of a win, isn't it? Right, on to the big boy. This is the 0.10mm high quality. And effectively, I've left it as it is, really. The only things that happen there is it's changed, because it's changed from the last setting that's happened. But effectively, everything's slowed down. And it's doing a new sort of way of doing the outside of the thing. We'll work that out a bit later. But yeah, we are, as you can see, you've just gone through that. But it is base standard settings. So if you have the Bambu Labs program on your computer, it's exactly that. You just select it and it's done. So let's have a quick look and see where we go from here.
So what we have here are the three prints that I've done there, which I've labelled A, B and C. Now this one is done on 0.8 on the standard setting. This one's done on 0.8 with the high speed settings, and this one is the high settings. So effectively these two are the standard stock ones, and this one is kind of a hybrid of the two. So what we're going to do is have a quick look at each one individually and compare them and see if we can find any differences in quality. Now, there's a couple of caveats that I need to make on this one. First of all, the model itself has a few design flaws. Now, I'm not going to get too critical about that, because I, for one, knowing with designing my own miniatures, the things like bows and stuff, even with resin printers, things snap off if they're too thin. So the major parts are really, you'll probably see with this one, is that this guy here, the joints on the arms, I've had to glue that one on, which is why his arm is completely different to those two, because I glued it on differently. And so those arm joints come off, and also the joint on the wrist is so slight that pulling the things off, you automatically bend and break that off. So that's the thing. But also the other caveat is because I didn't know on the first one, and then I started to learn that there are certain problems, you'll find that there are certain parts where I've actually they've come out better because I'm aware of where the support problems are as I go further along the lines. So as you can see, I've managed to save some of that, but I've still had to glue bits and pieces on. You can probably see the glue there on that one. And also the only one that actually managed to rescue this arm piece here that's coming out of the ground, that's so thin it just gets ripped out. As you can see, both of these two here, you can see at the point where, exact same point, they've been ripped out. So that's just a caveat on both of those ones, but let's have a quick look. So this is A. We'll have a quick look through there. Now, I did have a few comments because I've had my role play group round, And one thing they noticed straight away is, do you see that back plate there, where the little bit the belt is? Now if we go to B, we notice that that back plate is a lot more defined, as you can see. So that has actually pointed out that using the slower speed settings has made the model at a 0.8 setting come out much better. All of them have the problem where they go a little bit wonky at the top. Now, the major question is it worth it between the large one and the 1.0? Now, naturally, this one looks a hell of a lot shinier. But if we can see if we can pop in some detail, for example, can we get, guess what I've just done? Just broken that. It's because it's so thin. Details of the eagle. And you can probably see from the shine, there's not a lot of difference between the two of these. But there are, it's minuscule, but it's there. The 1.0 does have a few better details. But I found that things like the gun here, on the, this is B, this is the hybrid. You may be able to see that there's some lines across on that particular point because of the way that it goes together. We'll have a look at the top of here as well. So it does seem that the hybrid of the two seems to be the better option. Okay, so let's start off with 8, shall we? So as you can see, we can now see there's some banding in there, and of course at the top you'll see quite a bit of it there. That's probably caused a few issues. Now just to reiterate, I do a is that supposed to be there as sand, as grass or whatever, but I think it's actually pointed out where I haven't actually pulled off the parts. But I think as a general thing, I mean, if you look real close, you will see the lines, but if you look at it from a tabletop perspective, you're not going to. Now the other question I have is that because this has been spray painted on, this is probably the most thinnest that of a coating that's going to be. If I gave it 2 black and 1 blue underlighting and 1 yellow, well actually a white to make sure the yellow could stick out, and then a yellow over the top for the top lighting. So as you can see, you are able to see quite a bit of it, but the detail is actually quite good for the base 0.8. It's not too bad. You can see there where it's kind of gone into the grooves slightly and seeped in. So that's given away a little bit of the thing. But overall, it ain't too bad. I'm not too sure if that is a bit of stuff in there that's causing that problem. But I'm not going to get too into that. That's a model issue, not really a printing issue. Right, so B, let's have a look at you. So I'll be honest with you, in some of that part there, you're actually not seeing so much in the way of lines, are you? And you can't see anything there really, just about maybe. And it's looking quite smooth on this part here. Obviously where it gets to the top here, that's where it starts getting a little bit awry. But as a miniature together, that ain't too bad at all, is it? I mean, remember that's just looking at it close up. This is how you're going to see it on the tabletop. You're only noticeable there, I think, and at the top. But once we start getting to thicker paints, I'm wondering if that's going to fill in. And finally, onto C, which is the allegedly master one. You can see quite a bit here. So yeah, it's not terribly super. The only thing I have noticed, which I didn't notice before, is that bit stayed on, where it's been ripped off all the other ones. I think detail wise this is a lot sharper, but it kind of does it at the expense of the concentric lines. It may just be that because it changes it to a concentric thing. Maybe if I switch that off and maybe start moving some of the settings more towards the intermediate, we might get better settings than that. But that's for another time. We're going to the point now where we just need to start getting these painted and look at getting these finished and see what the final results are going to be like. So we're going to go generally Night Sky is a dark tone, Wolf Grey, which I'm presuming is the Fanatics version of the Citadel Wolf Grey. And also, if I can find it, I think I have a game colour around that might also work to our favour, which is another Wolf Grey. So that's Game Colours Wolf Grey as a highlight. But obviously we'll see where we go from this, and let's have some fun. Okay, so we've got to basic stage. We've got the undercoat and we've got the mid-tone on the army part. And as you can see, the lines are just about visible, but they are starting to disappear the more that I put tone on there. I don't think they are going to completely disappear. Let's make that quite clear. But you may have noticed that I've given them different bits and pieces. But what I was trying to do is just get to some of the detailed parts. But I mean, in some places you can't see the lines at all. In other places you can. Obviously, this is just the basic coat. It's not going to look too fantastic just yet, but we've got to put a wash in there at some point, or some undertone into the crevices. Probably use maybe a mid brown, or I don't know if I want to use a purple tone or not. I'm just trying to work out what I'll do there. But yeah, I mean, you can kind of see there, but that could, in some instances, just be brush lines. Now, what's going to be interesting is when I do put the wash on, what's going to happen with those lines. Are the lines big enough for that wash to go through? So that is something that we're going to do next, and have a look-see, just to see what happens with the model itself. I've got to do a little bit of research because I've completely forgotten how that symbol's usually painted, and I've probably got to do the bolter as well, and obviously the rocks and stuff. But we'll get onto that in a bit. But we'll concentrate on the main figure, to be honest, before I paint up the rest of it. Okay, next step, which is all the base colours now. So I think it's coming to the point now where you can just guess which ones I'm doing in which order, because I'm just picking them up at random. So I also had a quick look at what a modern Terminator looks like, and apparently they have the silver with the bronze, everything everywhere else. So as you may be able to see, there is some paneling on the top of the thing, which is one of the FDM issues. Is that the top and the bottom all have issues with finishing off, so to speak. So that's where you get the most of the parts. But and you can see some leveling here. I think one thing you could do is just basically, if you've got the models beforehand, is maybe either go over them with a craft knife a little bit, just to take down some of the things, or a sander, or sand stick of some sort. That might help. Right, so the next job is to put the wash on and see how well that works with the lines. Because it's a bluish grey that's going in here, we're going to give these Terminators a blue wash and see how well that fits in. Well, to be fair, I don't see any of the lines becoming too protracted. Maybe if we look near the top, perhaps, where the lines tend to get drawn out. Anywhere. I think you can see that it seems to be mostly where the concentric parts are. That actually isn't too bad. The more expensive one, I think it might be that concentric program that goes through it, but it seems to make the top part a lot more vivid, whereas that one's a little bit more subtle. So I'm starting to lean towards maybe staying at the 0.8, but keeping the speed settings of the modern one, or trying the top end one without all the funky bits in there. So yeah, we haven't had too much, but you can see some banding there for where the ink's gone through. As for this one, you can still see a little bit of banding, but that is nothing that you can't take out with a bit of paint. So yeah, it's not perfect, is it? But I think it's good enough for a tabletop. No one's really going to care. And I mean, we're looking at here from this distance. You're not really going to know until you actually go up to the model and look at it and then realise it is a 3D printed miniature. And I think that's the point. I think it's quite easy to see that now I've put some of the shading in there, you can really see where the lines are. Up close and personal, but can you see them far away? Probably. So there is, maybe certain painting techniques you can and can't do with 3D printed stuff, or you could just do it anyway and not be fussed about it. But yeah, we're just going to do some edge highlighting on this, and then we're pretty much done with this this test experiment. Okay, show and tell time. So this one is A. Now the problem I had with this one, I think I used the thin tree supports, and because of that I think I spent most of my time pulling out little bits and pieces of support still in the model. So I think that's lesson learned from that. Don't use small tree supports. Apart from that, it is kind of like at normal speed, so you can see flaws in the model. Just in case you're wondering, that is the old 80s Devastator version, Devastator symbol for the Space Wolves back in the 80s. I'm sticking with my 80s style. So as you can see, there are bits and pieces. If we get really close, you can probably see some of the lines being shown up. And that's because of the slow blend wash that went over the top of it. It just went into the recesses and effectively showed the lines back up. So definitely need to probably maybe do a quick small sand. I've really recently bought some of these, which are like little small standing sticks, so they might be useful for doing the models. But anyway, if you're seeing it from here though, I mean, it just looks like another Terminator model. Go for B. There's B. So we'll get a bit closer so you can see all the bits and pieces. I must have got a little bit of red on there, but never mind. So there's another one on the Devastator Terminator branch. So yeah, and once again, seeing it from distance, you can't really tell the difference, can you? So the only time it's going to happen is if someone picks it up and looks at it up close, and then you'll see some of the print lines. Once again, just a little extra time with that we'd probably do. And finally, this bad boy. This one was done on the most high setting, but it had a concentric pattern, which I found the concentric pattern there made it look worse. But this one was the easiest one to take the things off, and that hand's just about survived, but I took it off anyway. So and this one was actually the easiest one to paint as well, I found, which was quite interesting. Not too sure why, but yeah, that's our Devastator for you. I might have to do a bit more work on that. But yeah, it's in that. So looking at the things, well, first things that I've learnt are don't do it at standard. Kind of try to do a hybrid between the two, but obviously check out a bit further if taking off the patterning of the thing makes it better as well. Also, pick your models as well. This Terminator obviously had a few flaws, which would have actually come out in a resin print as well. Bits and pieces would have fallen off this print as well. But I mean, it came out okay, so I'm not really complaining about that. And really, no insult to the model maker. They made a fantastic model. It's just obviously that I know from experience it takes a long time to work out how to get a model to work with a printer. One of my archer dwarf that I did, that took ages to get the bow at the right size so that it didn't snap immediately as soon as you tried to pull off the supports. So yeah, that's just another thing. As for 3D printing, here's the question that needs to be asked: is it good enough? Is it good enough for modelling? I'm going to say yes. If you're not someone who's a Games Workshop hyper fan sort of thing, who insists that it's always going to be them or nothing, or you're one of those critical people that have to have the best models or the perfect models and stuff like that, that's up to you. Stick with it. Stick with getting cancer from the resin if you want to. I'm happy with these because they allow me to model make at a cheap level, and it gives me and my mental health a hell of a lot more help, that I can just pick a model, print it out, knowing that I don't have to mess with chemicals and stuff like that, and it'll come out. So for me, yes, I'd say is 3D printing there yet? That would be a no, not quite yet. If they can somehow find a way to get 3D printers to not leave that fine lining. I know it's come a long way from where it was though. Some of the models that I printed out on my old Wanhao were absolutely atrocious. They really were. They're presentable now, but they're not perfect. But then again, doing a little bit of work of it, you still have to do a little bit of work on resin prints anyway to make sure that they're perfect before you paint. So maybe spending some time with a sanding stick to just to take out those little edges. I mean, you can also do a resin coat if you want to, but I worry about that being that you would lose a lot of the detail from the model by slimming it with a resin coat, which I'm able to do, which I could do. So yeah, it's a good thing. So why don't you put something down in the comment section? Tell me which one you thought looked the best out of all the ones, and also what you would 3D print if you were able to. Bambu Lab, I've done an absolutely fantastic printer. I'm not going to go into it because a lot of people get upset about Bambu Lab people for some strange reason. There's a big divide now between the people who want to print to create stuff and the people who like to tinker. I'm not a tinkerer. I like to create stuff, as you can see right in front of you, 3 Terminator models. And so that's about it, really. So all I can say is thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully I'll be able to do some more painting and stuff like that. I'm hoping to get through doing my worms. So I've been slowly trawling through them. You might see them actually in the background there. Whoop. Just being getting painted. This is my shame-ect area, which I try to keep out of the way. But yeah, it's this is just how I do it. Anyway, I'm rambling again. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.